we learn how to preserve New Year leftovers and turn them into a variety of delicious dishes. We look at the current living condition for Typhoon Haiyan survivors in the Philippines. Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Wendy Chen. Thank you for joining us. First, we would like to wish you all a happy Chinese New Year. Now back to our show. After every Spring Festival, one thing that troubles housewives is how to deal with all the uneaten food. Today, we show you how to better preserve uneaten food in a safe and fresh manner. Let's take a look.
As part of the Chinese New Year celebration, a great holiday feast is a must. However, it's not easy to consume all the food prepared in one sitting. Today, we invite an expert to teach you how to best store uneaten food. First, leafy vegetables shouldn't be put in the fridge again, as they will produce a toxic byproduct, nitrite. Neither is it ideal to use plastic wrap to preserve food in the fridge.
One thing about plastic wrap is that it cannot keep the food completely fresh. Besides, if the plastic film is stained with oil, the plastic will dissolve.
The best way to preserve extra food is to use containers. Taking this dish as an example, first we picked out all the leafy vegetables before putting the rest in the container.
The leafy vegetables should not be reused. We'd also pick out the cucumbers. And don't keep too much sauce when preserving a dish in fridge.
Food, especially deep-fried or stir-fried, contains less water, so it's easier to preserve. Here are some tips for fridge preservation.
Write down the date on the lids and place the containers in the fridge on the same level. This way the temperature will drop quickly, so the food will cool down faster.
Finally, the experts suggest that it is better to consume uneaten food within 2 days for maximizing freshness and to prevent the buildup of toxic byproducts.
To avoid excessive leftovers during the New Year holiday, we have invited a Tzu Chi volunteer to show us how to make creative and tasty dishes from the leftovers in our kitchen. Here's more.
We can make rice porridge from leftover rice and hot pot stock.
That's right, adding rice to hot pot broth with some extra ingredients like taro, mushrooms, peas, and carrots makes a delicious taro rice porridge. The tip is that the taro must be deep fried.
Fried taro can lift the aroma and the flavor of the rice porridge, making the dish much tastier. Turnip cakes are a common dish for the New Year's holiday, and you can use fried turnip cakes in this rice noodle soup.
Stir-fried mushroom slices and bean curd skins before adding stock and bringing it all to a boil. Then add vegetables and finally the rice noodles and turnip cakes. The key is putting in the rice noodles first before the turnip cakes, so the cakes won't overcook.
As for unused dumpling skins, you can slice them to make another noodle dish.
Stir-fry mushroom slices in a preheated wok and then add stock before finally adding the dumpling skins. As the stock finally comes to a boil, slowly put the dumpling skins into the soup one by one so they won't stick together. Lastly, some vegetables and a tasty dumpling skin soup is ready to serve. With a little creativity, everyone can make better use of their leftovers and reduce the amount of kitchen waste we see during the holidays.
Moving to Malaysia since the year of 2000, Tzu Chi volunteers have been caring for 61-year-old Tan Xiaochang, who lost the ability to work after a spinal surgery. Thankfully, with Tzu Chi volunteers by his side, Tan has not only regained the strength to live on, but has also learned to spread his love. But first, let's join the New Year celebration held at the Tzu Chi Kuala Lumpur and Selangor chapter, where care recipients vow to encourage more people to walk the Tzu Chi path.
This is the scene at the Chinese New Year celebration held at the Tzu Chi Kuala Lumpur and Selangor chapter in Malaysia. Among the participants is care recipient Ling Li Yan, who vows to encourage more people to do good deeds.
I can donate within my ability because there is no limit. It doesn't matter if it is only 5, 10, or even 1 ringgit. I will encourage more people to donate their love because many a little makes a mickle.
Knowing the importance of encouraging more people to do good deeds, since last year, Tzu Chi Care recipient Hou Shiyu has recruited 11 new bodhisattvas. This year, she vows to encourage 20 more people to donate their love.
I have been introducing Tzu Chi to my friends and encouraging them not to do bad deeds. We need to contribute our share and help those in greater need. Some of my friends were even inspired enough to join Tzu Chi.
Touched by Tzu Chi's kindness, 75-year-old Wu Lianying not only donated money but also wrote a song to express her gratitude.
记忆回来，我有了大爱，从此有了快乐，不再悲哀。
Kind-hearted people provided me with red envelopes, and I donated the extra money to Tzu Chi.
Also helping those in greater need is care recipient Tan Shaochang, who has had a hard time making ends meet after a spinal surgery years ago. Upon learning of his situation, Tzu Chi decided to reach out a helping hand. However, Tan was once skeptical of the volunteer's intention.
During surgery, I encountered Tzu Chi's sisters from Krao, Baling, and Penang. I was very afraid when they came to visit me because I didn't know what they were up to. I thought they came for ask for money.
He used to keep a distance because he didn't know us. We always interacted with them using Master Zhenyan's words of wisdom. We also showed him videos on how dialysis patients help those in greater need.
Despite losing the ability to work after his surgery, with Master Zhenyan's words of wisdom in mind, Tan Shaochang has regained the strength to move on and decided to donate his love.
Before, I never thought of donating money to help others because I can't make ends meet. Later on, I started to donate a little from my grocery money. When my bamboo coin bag is full, I always donate it to Tzu Chi. I'm very happy because the donations can help those in greater need.
He is not only a Tzu Chi monthly donor, but also one who donates to his bamboo coin bag on a daily basis. Every 2 to 3 months, we will come here to visit him and pick up his filled bamboo coin bag. Although he is living in hardship, he is still willing to donate his love. I am truly touched by his gesture.
Thanks to Master's words of wisdom, Tan Shaochang has discovered that giving is not the privilege of the rich, but something that everyone can do.
Prior to the Lunar New Year, Tzu Chi volunteers worldwide held year and blessing ceremonies in their respective communities to mark the end of another year. Next, we join U.S. Tzu Chi volunteers in Phoenix, South Los Angeles, and Houston at their year-end blessing ceremonies. Tzu Chi volunteer Zhe Huimei's husband suffers from Parkinson and has slowly lost the ability to speak as well as to look after himself. Zhen's patience in looking after her ill husband did not come overnight.
When I was angry, I would be waving a towel around, and sometimes it would accidentally hit him, so he thought I was doing it on purpose.
It was after Zhen became a volunteer that she learned to get rid of her short temper. At the year-end blessing ceremony held at the Tzu Chi Texas chapter, Zhen expresses her gratitude to her husband.
I am very grateful to my husband because most of those who are ill are normally short-tempered, but my husband is not. He never gets angry.
My 2 children are great kids already, but I still get angry at times or am really strict with them. I felt ashamed today. I think it is a great opportunity to reflect upon myself.
Although I don't speak Chinese, it's about the feeling and the emotion that I get from these presentations. We act, we reflect, and we build something better.
Teachings who took part in the musical performance of the ancient sutra also adopted a vegetarian diet, and participants brought their filled bamboo coin banks to donate to those in greater need. Moving to South Los Angeles at the Tzu Chi Torrance Liaison Office, among those taking part in the sign language show is a senior over 90 years of age.
I have learned about discipline, meditation, and wisdom. We should manage ourselves before trying to influence others to make a difference in society.
A Tzu Chi volunteer recounts the story of how inmates wanted to donate their love to help Typhoon Haiyan survivors in the Philippines, inspiring hundreds in the audience to give a little of their love as well. At the year-end blessing ceremony in Phoenix, a bone marrow recipient's mother takes to the stage to express her gratitude to the donor and Tzu Chi. As everyone prays together, they hope the year ahead will be one filled with love and gratitude. Can you imagine life without running water and electricity? The most difficult part of the reconstruction process following Typhoon Haiyan in central Philippines has been the lack of water and electricity in disaster areas. While plans are in place to install underground power lines and improve water supply systems in Tacloban City, for residents who are still living in darkness and without running water, the path to recovery remains a challenge.
Darkness quickly engulfs the city as night falls. It's as if life has returned to the primitive times. Doing business by candlelight and eating dinner by the light of an oil lamp, Haiyan survivors are trying their best to survive.
Okay ba yung benta nyo ngayon? Wala pa. Wala pa? Ilang piraso pa lang? Tatlo pa lang.
An oil lamp has become a source of light for families in this battered city.
We have no money to buy a generator to provide electricity here.
A generator costs at least 10,000 pesos, a luxury not all disaster survivors can afford. In a temporary wooden hut beneath the bridge, a local is purchasing electricity from his neighbor.
80 pesos. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 5.
A lack of electricity has brought the city to a standstill. Nobody knows how long it will be before power is fully restored.
The electricity is under the control of the national government, so we are just hoping and praying that we get electricity back into the city as soon as possible.
Fortunately, a power company is generously supplying power to local residents free of charge 24 hours a day.
I came here for charging only and free Wi-Fi.
Before the typhoon, this popular restaurant chain was able to generate 100,000 pesos of income a day. After closing for 2 months, the owner is trying to get his business up and running again.
We have our own electricity supply. If there's no power, we will use the generator.
Electricity has helped revive an economy which has been at a standstill for 2 months. Yet, the most vulnerable remain those staying in temporary shelters.
It has been 2 months since the typhoon, and inside this government shelter, we can see countless residents continue to seek refuge here, living without any electricity.
There are 14 evacuation shelters in Tacloban, and this shelter houses more than 2,000 disaster survivors. But with only one functioning water supply station, residents have no choice but to drink directly from raw water sources.
There are 9 public bathrooms for men and women at the back. Sometimes I will take a bath there, otherwise I will go to my barangay.
With the water treatment facilities in the barangays damaged by the typhoon, the health hazards associated with contaminated water sources rings alarm bells for the WHO.
The springs have been contaminated some of them with fecal material in the breakage of the sewer system and the water pipes in the city, which it have mixed contamination of the water supplies.
The problem is distribution, so it requires infrastructure, and that will take no less than a year, probably even 2 to 3 years before they can come up with a good water treatment plant.
The residents' distress has been compounded by a lack of access to clean water and electricity. making the road to recovery that much harder.
In the aftermath of the 9/21 earthquake in Taiwan, a group of Amis tribal villages lacked the means to rebuild their damaged dwellings. Thus, it was decided for them to temporarily settle on a government-owned plot of land in Taichung's Wufeng. However, today, nearly 15 years on, they're still living without a permanent solution.
With Guo Zhenyu's invitation, we enter his house. Upon entering, one sees his house is made up of an assortment of construction materials.
These materials all came from construction sites. I just asked the manager for some materials to build my house. You see, my entire home is a hodgepodge of different materials.
Actually, the 46 families of Hadong New Village in Taichung's Wufeng are all built in the same manner.
When the 9/21 earthquake happened, the houses in this area were destroyed, and as we had nowhere to settle, a local politician fought for our right to use this plot of land that was once the site of a factory.
This group of Hualien and Taidong Amis people moved to Taichung to seek better opportunities, not knowing that the 9/21 earthquake would destroy the construction industry, thus bringing an end to the jobs that could be found at the construction sites. Broke and homeless, they can only take shelter in these shacks.
This is my house. It's no big deal. This sofa was salvaged from the street. It looked usable still. This is underground water. It's all groundwater, not tap. Wastewater will seep into it, so we don't let the children drink from it.
These shacks lack access to water because residents here do not have land usage rights. Originally, relocating here was a temporary solution, but there is no further talk of making it permanent. Consequently, due to a lack of stable income, these people have been here for 14 years.
We have finally settled our village here in the city, so of course we want to continue living here. It's our hope to rebuild here.
The piece of land is near a river, which Amis believe is a good place to work and live. But to turn this land into a permanent home will not be so easy.
They need approval of the Taichung City Government and Executive Yuan's Council of Indigenous Peoples. They've already received an okay from the Executive Yuan. However, perhaps more time is needed to process the governmental paperwork.
Over the past few years, these villagers have continued to submit proposals to the government, hoping to obtain rights to use the land they sit on. But as the steps are complicated and laws continue to change, all they can do is wait for the day when the land is rightfully theirs.
The city life meets our basic necessities because in our original village, we didn't have any means of making an income.
These forgotten citizens continue to struggle for their right to establish roots here, far away from their original home. At the end of the day, it is the hope of finding a small corner of the city where they can pass on the Amis culture to future generations that keeps them all hopeful.
In China, city volunteers recently concluded a winter aid distribution in Liuyi village of Guizhou province. Prior to the distribution, it was discovered that 2 names were not included on the aid list. Taking after the volunteers' selflessness, local villagers willingly donated a portion of their supplies to help the 2 seniors.
Prior
to the winter aid distribution in Liuyi village, city volunteers discovered that 2 seniors' names were missing from their list. To help, villagers whose names were on the list all willingly agreed to donate a portion of their supplies to the 2 seniors.
We called to ask them, and they all agreed. They said that the Taiwanese volunteers have passed on the spirit of great love to them, so they also want to pass it on to others. The grandma says thank you for the assistance from Taiwan. She says once her child grows up and has a job, she will also pay the love forward to others.
Whether it is singing a song or just a simple caring gesture, the arrival of the Tzu Chi volunteers brings warmth to the recipients' homes. Seeing the children's unyielding attitude to life's hardships and their determination to study, several volunteers are moved to tears.
They work hard in pursuit of their dreams and future. I think it's remarkable.
Thank you. I will study hard and treat others with the same heart of compassion as Mr. Zheng Yan's.
Under the request of Wang Bihong, volunteers sign their names on the Jingzi aphorism scroll as a symbol of their love, which will remain by Wang's side as he continues to pursue his dreams and aspirations.
Moving to Vietnam, Tzu Chi volunteers regularly visited care recipients' home to bring them the much-needed warmth and love. Recently, they visited 3 senior residents and gave their houses a thorough clean-up. Among the care recipients is 88-year-old Grandma Liang, who initially refused to let the volunteers help her clean up, but was moved by their sincerity and finally allowed them to give her a hand.
In this dark house, Tzu Chi volunteers walk up the narrow stairs to an 85-year-old grandma's home. For decades, this senior has lived in this dark and damp environment, with her body getting weaker day after day. Since 2010, Tzu Chi volunteers have periodically visited solitary seniors. This time, they also take the opportunity to help them clean up before the Chinese New Year. At another senior's home, spider webs cover the corners and items are left unattended. Tzu Chi volunteers therefore decide to help the resident clean up the house. With the volunteers' collective efforts, the house finally restores its former glory. Despite the hard labor, volunteers gain immeasurable joy in return.
It would be a lie if I said I'm not tired. Through helping the needy without asking anything in return, I feel immense joy.
Volunteers' last stop is this 88-year-old Grandma Liang's home, where she lives with her 50-year-old son. As some of the volunteers are chatting with the senior, another group of volunteers immediately carried out a cleaning in her house. Dirty clothing in the bathroom are washed, bed sheet is changed, rats, feces, and trash are cleared away too, giving the home a fresh look. Showing her gratitude to Tzu Chi volunteers, the grandma gives them a big hug and a red envelope. Instead of taking grandma's money, the volunteers say they have received the best gift, and that is the grandma's smile.
We go to the United States at the end of today's show as the Buddhist hall at the Tzu Chi Orange County Liaison Office in South California was finally completed. An opening ceremony was held in conjunction with the year-end blessing ceremony. We'll leave you with these images. Thank you for tuning in. Goodbye.